we all understand the type of climate that we're dealing with. We're dealing with multiple offer situations.
I'd love to know sort of what's your why? What makes you tick? Why are you so successful?
Have a dialogue with your lawyer. Have a dialogue with your agent.
Both sort of passionate about sort of what we do.
Again, vet your agent to make sure that they're experienced and they're local. I like that idea.
No excuse to miss it on Saturdays from 8 to 9.
That's right.
WBZ.
And now, the show that gives you the latest and most relevant housing market news. Real Estate Radio Boston with financial expert Rick Shearer and legal professional Ali Alavi.
We talk about it all the time. I mean, these buyers nowadays, these millennials running around, they want something turnkey. And when they see that there's an issue, and I hear all the time, like I'll get calls from clients going, "Oh, we have issues with home inspection. The furnace needs to be cleaned." It's like guys, it's not really an issue with the home inspection. Like it's just a front. Right. But they want $1,000, $5,000 off of these things. Where if a seller can really get a checklist and go, all right, yeah, hey, it's going to cost me about $500 to get all of this stuff done. Knowing when a home inspector is going to come in and find those same things, now the home inspector is not going to find those things.
Right.
Just sets you up for success.
And the buyers are afraid. They think everything is going to turn into something else. And when you have a seller who's lived in a house for 40 years, when was the last time they went up in the attic and checked to see if the exhaust fan was still connected?
Right.
Probably never.
Yeah.
Or when did they ever test for radon? Probably never.
Yep.
They're going to have to remediate anyway, so why not put it in ahead of time and alleviate the problem?
I love
then worry about killing the deal later on.
Let's talk
sense.
about emotions. Emotions. I mean, this process is so emotional on both the buyer side and the seller side. I mean, the sellers are showcasing their house, and it's something they probably live for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you manage? And I think that's one of the things that you do so well, and I think that's why you do so much listing business. Is you're able to manage those expectations so well. Walk us through some of the things that you will implement when trying to handle emotions.
Well, I try very hard ahead of time, before a property even comes on the market, to make sure that my sellers take their emotion out of the sale, which I know is difficult to do.
How do you do that?
You just have to set them up.
Oh, come on.
And you have to tell them to
That's easier said than done.
Just say thank you when you get an offer, even if it's not what you expect it to be. It's not a personal attack. It's just someone out there, perhaps like a millennial, who is, looking at Zillow and using that as their guide instead of listening to their buyer agent, or they're working with an online agent, and they're trying to make a lowball offer because they think that's what you're supposed to do.
But, on top of that, too, keep in mind, guys, it's not necessarily because they want to steal the property. Some people, that's just up against their budget. And if that seller says, yeah, you know what, I'll take that, and they're able to get it because it fits in their budget, well, I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing, or something like they're not trying to, try to get the seller upset by setting the offer in.
Or how about if you don't get upset and you just kindly counter the offer, and the buyer ends up surprising you and coming up to really close where you wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
So getting that first offer is not the be-all, end-all, and you shouldn't be insulted.
That's right.
That's the real advice.
That's the real advice.
Now, let me
counter every offer.
Counter every offer.
Counter, people. Counter.
We're talking about Metro West. We talked about low inventories. How much of that inventory is new construction? Can you give us a flavor there?
Well, in Framingham, we don't have as much as we would like.
Mm-hmm.
There are some few and far between smaller subdivisions because, of course, everybody's running out of land, right?
Sure.
Ashland has a lot more new construction, but I would say it's less than 10%.
The city is a different beast, right? I mean, we talked in the previous segment. We talked to Heidi, and she talked to us about the Metro West. The city is a whole nother beast, right? Yeah. Tell us what makes the city what it is, and what makes it unique.
Well, the human capital in the city. There's so many smart people. You have people moving here from all over. You have GE relocating their headquarters to Seaport. Tons of construction going on everywhere. And not to mention all the universities and institutions that help back the city. So it's incredible. All the economy is very strong, and we're seeing that in rents and construction going on. So it's really exciting to be a part of that environment.
And it's a transient city, too. I mean, I think people come in for a short time, go to school, maybe decide to stay here, but also decide to move away. So, we talk a lot about on this show why it's important, not necessarily to rent, but to buy. But oftentimes that's not for every person. So, you have a great rental background, which is good because it's helping you in the sales side as well. But talk to us a little bit about what's going on with rents right now in the city, and what are you seeing?
Well, it's crazy. I mean, Boston is the third most expensive city to rent in, only behind New York and San Francisco. So I get a lot of soon-to-be first-time homebuyers because they want to purchase. They see how expensive it is to rent, but they're new to the city. They're relocating for work. So it's kind of first year, we're going to find them an apartment, let them explore the different neighborhoods and figure out where they do want to invest their dollars. And then it's connecting them with mortgage professionals, financial planners, getting them set up to start that process of making that big investment.
New construction. There's a lot. I see a ton of new construction going on, and does that make you nervous? Does that make you nervous that we're sort of overpopulating our wonderful small city with so many units that we may not be able to sustain these rents, sustain the supply of housing?
That's a great question. Well, it's interesting. Everywhere you look, you see cranes and 100 units over here, 300 units being built over here. But I'll be honest, guys, I don't have a lot of clients who want to pay $2,600 a month for a studio. So like I said, the rents are crazy. And so trying to figure out how to buy as soon as possible is really kind of the best option when you're looking at where your dollar's going to if you're renting.
And are you seeing a big escalation in rents year after year after year?
Yes, definitely the last 2 years, increases in rents. And it's crazy because now landlords are requiring renewal notices as early as January for September. So you move in September, then in December you get a notice, well, you're going to be renewing or not. By the way, your rent's going up, and we need to know by January 15th.
What we want to talk about in this segment is the team, right? Who should be part of your team? How do you assemble that team? And when do you assemble the team? Right? Rick, what do you think?
I mean, I think it first starts off with getting pre-approved. I mean, I think, the first step in this whole transaction is don't spend time with a real estate agent yet, because maybe you don't qualify. But if you do qualify, what can you afford? I mean, what do the numbers look like? If you can afford a $2,000 payment, what does that mean as far as purchase price? You need to get your ducks in a row, and I think the first place you start is talking with a mortgage lender.
The biggest fallacy out there is the fact that you need 20% to buy a home.
Right. Guys, I'm doing 3% down. I'm doing no money down.
Exactly. So if you start the process as early as possible, so at least you get educated on what type of products are out there. What do you qualify for? You may not even be able to qualify at the time that you're making that phone call. At least you can get a roadmap of how to get there. Yeah. And I agree with you. I think the first step should be talking to a good lender that's going to be able to educate you and determine what makes sense for you either today or a year from now.
And I just want to touch upon where you can go to get financing. You've got the big banks. You can walk into, Bank of the World and all these other big banks. In my opinion, the reason why I don't work for those banks is they're bulky, they're clunky, it takes a long time to get it done, and they're not. This is typically you can open up a checking account, an IRA, a home equity line of credit. Oh, and by the way, they'll do your mortgage for you too.
Right.
So you can go to a big bank. Okay, they have one product, one set of guidelines. That thing. You can go to a mortgage broker. A mortgage broker, someone that has a mortgage broker license, they have no lending authority. Mortgage brokers are the middleman. They literally collect your documents and let someone else underwrite your file. Again, the big banks, clunky process, that kind of stuff.
Right.
The third way you can go get financing is through a mortgage banker. Mortgage bankers are like what I do at MSA Mortgage, and there's a bunch of other good companies out there in the marketplace, but they're not a bank. They lend their own money through a big line of credit, and typically they're more fast, efficient, and we're shopping your rate to many different lenders, but totally taking care of the whole process. So in a snapshot, those are the three places you can get, and I'm a little biased because this is what I do, but this is why I do it. Mortgage bankers can get it done more efficiently and effectively.